Where are you from? Have you traveled abroad before? What's your favorite travel destination? Have you been to destination? How long are you staying here? Do you need any recommendations for places to eat? What's your favorite type of food? What's your favorite type of activity to do while traveling? How do you usually plan your trips? Do you prefer traveling alone or with friends? Have you ever had any travel mishaps? What's the most beautiful place you've ever visited? What's the most adventurous thing you've ever done while traveling? Do you have any travel tips to share? What's the best way to get around in this city? Can you recommend any good hostels? What's the weather like today? What's the best time of year to visit destination? Are there any must-see sites in this city? Can you recommend any good restaurants? How much does it cost to travel to destination? Do you need any help with your itinerary? What's the best way to save money while traveling? Do you prefer flying or taking the train bus? What's your favorite memory from a past trip? How do you deal with jet lag? Have you ever tried local dish? What's the local currency and exchange rate? Is it safe to walk around at night in this city? Can you recommend any good shopping areas? What's the best way to learn about the local culture? Can you recommend any good museums, art galleries? What's the nightlife like in this city? Are there any festivals or events happening while I'm here? Can you recommend any good tours or activities? What's the best way to stay connected to the internet while traveling? How do I get to destination from here? What's the best way to get to the airport train station? Can you recommend any good travel apps? What's the best way to stay safe while traveling? Have you ever gone on a solo trip? What's the best way to pack for a trip? Have you ever done a road trip? Can you recommend any good hiking trails? What's the best way to deal with language barriers? How do you stay healthy while traveling? Can you recommend any good beaches? Have you ever gone camping while traveling? What's the best way to find cheap flights? Do you have any recommendations for travel insurance? How do I navigate public transportation in this city? Can you recommend any good day trips from here? What's the best way to find good deals on accommodations? Have you ever taken a cruise? What's the best way to learn a new language while traveling? Can you recommend any good bike tours? What's the best way to avoid tourist traps? How do I get to tourist attraction from here? Can you recommend any good food markets? What's the best way to find good local cuisine? Have you ever gone scuba diving snorkeling? What's the best way to deal with culture shock? Can you recommend any good spas, massage parlors? What's the best way to find good street food? Have you ever gone skiing, snowboarding? What's the best way to find a good ski resort? Have you ever traveled during peak season? What's the best way to avoid crowds while traveling? Can you recommend any good local souvenirs? What's the best way to deal with homesickness while traveling? Have you ever experienced culture shock while traveling? Can you recommend any good local markets? What's the best way to find good vegetarian vegan food? Have you ever gone on a wildlife safari? What's the best way to find good local coffee? Can you recommend any good wineries or breweries? What's the best way to find good local art? Have you ever gone on a hot air balloon ride? What's the best way to find good local music? Can you recommend any good cooking classes? What's the best way to find good local crafts? Have you ever gone on a zip-line tour? What's the best way to find good local theater or performances? Can you recommend any good local festivals? What's the best way to find good local sports events? Have you ever gone on a helicopter tour? What's the best way to find good local history museums? Can you recommend any good local nature reserves or parks? What's the best way to find good local architecture? Have you ever gone on a kayaking or canoeing trip? What's the best way to find good local beaches for swimming? Can you recommend any good local wineries or vineyards? What's the best way to find good local street art? Have you ever gone on a horseback riding tour? What's the best way to find good local spas or wellness centers? Can you recommend any good local street performers or musicians? What's the best way to find good local historic landmarks? Have you ever gone on a bungee jumping or skydiving adventure? What's the best way to find good local viewpoints or scenic spots? Can you recommend any good local cooking ingredients or spices?